I wanted to talk to Tony Dungy, Football Night in America analyst, of course, the former great coach in the NFL. And being around Tony for the last couple of years, I realized that he's a great listener and willing to listen to anybody. You know, he helped with counsel Michael Vick, has helped with Chip Kelly reaching out about Riley Cooper. What would you do? And I think on record is saying he'd even talk to Aaron Hernandez. So Tony joins us now on loan from Football Night in America. How are you, Tone?
Hey, Dan, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well, how proud of you, proud of Warren Sapp were you that he went into the Hall of Fame?
No, that was pretty special. The first player that I've had as a head coach, and to see how Warren started his career and all the effort that went into it, and to see him really, really enjoy being there with those other great players. It was a pretty special night.
He's a character, though. How was he to coach? How was he to coach?
You know what? He was actually fine in a lot of ways because he wanted to win. He was extremely smart. He was a hard worker. All the things that go into being a great player. Off the field, he was himself. He was what you see is what you get. But as soon as he came to work, it was totally about winning.
I saw where Chip Kelly, the Eagles, reached out to you after the Riley Cooper video went viral. What did you tell Chip that did he ask you what would you do if you were in his position with the locker room?
Not really. He explained some things, and it's funny. The first time we ever talked, Chip and I, was after LeGarrette Blount had punched the player from Boise, and that was Chip's first game as a head coach. And he explained the situation to me and what he thought. And, and this same thing with Riley Cooper. I said, you just have to follow your instincts. You know your locker room and your players. You know Riley Cooper as well as anyone, and you can't worry about what other people think or what everybody says you ought to do. You got to do what's best for your team and the player, and I'm sure he's going to do that.
What would you have done with Riley Cooper when you saw that video?
Well, the thing about it, everybody's looking at the racial element. To me, the real issue is the alcohol.
Yeah.
And you have someone who does something that they may or may not do if they're not under the influence of alcohol, and that's to me what's got to be addressed. And everybody's looking at the counseling and everything, and I think that's where it's going to go. And to me, that's what they've got to figure out. And what Chip has to do is, figure out, do the players understand it? Do they see it that way, or do they see it as a racial incident? And I gather from being on the outside that many of the guys do see it as an alcohol-related incident, and hopefully that'll help them, overcome it.
Could you coach somebody labeled a racist?
Well, you've got to look at the heart, and you got to look at what you think people are, and you got to trust your gut. And not everybody who's labeled something is that. And so that's what you've got to trust. But yeah, if I felt somebody was a racist and it was going to divide the team, then you're not going to do that. But again, from hearing a lot of these players talk who've been around Cooper, I don't know that they see it that way.
He's Tony Dungy from Football Night in America joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Did I read it correctly that you said if Aaron Hernandez reached out to you that you would talk to him?
Yeah, I'm always willing to talk to anybody, and someone asked me about that, would I call Aaron Hernandez or have I called this person or that person, and I really don't do that. If people want to talk or if they have some issues they want to discuss, I think that's the best way to go about it when people really want help. And, the same thing with the Patriots organization. I'm sure if Aaron Hernandez reaches out to them, they're not going to drop him. They're not going to just wipe their hands, but he's got to reach out, and hopefully he will reach out to someone.
Well, what would you want to hear from Aaron Hernandez? As somebody with a sympathetic ear, what could Aaron Hernandez tell you that you would respond to?
Just really where he wants to go from here, and what he wants to do, and how he wants to, make this situation better. That's I think what you're always looking for in these kind of cases. And if someone does, if they want to make the situation better, they want to go forward, then I think you got to be there to help them.
What was it like the first time you talked to Michael Vick when he was in prison?
It was really interesting because Michael was at a point where he did want to make the situation better. He had been in and, really felt bad about everything that had taken place, wanted to do some things to make his family situation better, wanted to do things to to make sure that he did well when he got out. But it was surreal. I mean, sitting there looking at him in an orange jumpsuit and a guy who'd been, the number one pick in the NFL draft, sitting there with really nothing. It was surreal.
Well, you've talked about character issues, and what struck me when you told us this was the number of players who had guns when you were with the Colts. Can you tell that story to the audience?
Yeah, it really is. It's just a different environment now and a different culture. And so many of these young guys feel like they have to have protection. They've grown up around it. Guns are not something that's foreign to them. And, the NFL always has, every year they want to get the guns registered. They want to make sure the players know the rules in the state that they're playing in, and they have to know that they can't have them on NFL property or a training camp. So you ask the guys, who has weapons, and, I guess when I started, I figured there'd be 10, 15 guys, but there's so many guys, half the room is raising their hand, and they say, Coach, you don't understand. I'm not going anywhere where I can't protect myself, and that's when I realized it's just a different environment.
Do you have a gun?
No, no, I don't.
It's just trying to understand that logic, and I don't want to get deeply into NRA and all that stuff. I just think as a coach, can you tell these kids don't have them, or is that's not your role as a coach to say?
Well, that was always my message. I always felt you're going to be better off not having them and not going to places where you felt like you need them. But understanding these young guys, 21, 22, 30, and going places where they feel like they need to be protected, and having grown up in that environment where they always had them or they've always seen them, to them it's not foreign as it is to you and I. So that's what I had to learn, that, I couldn't transmit my beliefs and my values on those guys. We had to deal with the situation as it was and get them registered, to understand the laws in Indiana or understand the laws in Florida, and make sure that they did everything legally. Still try to counsel them that, hey, anytime you carry a gun, you take out a gun, you're putting yourself at risk, and having them understand that. But it was a tough process.
What do you see in Johnny Manziel as a former NFL coach of what would excite you and what would concern you from afar?
Well, tremendous talent, and I got to meet him in New York, after he won the Heisman, and really liked him as a person. Very outgoing, very much a leader. You could see all the things: the leadership, the skill level, the athletic ability, the confidence, and all that does excite you. But then you've got to look at the other side of it, and he's got to be able to handle this. And right now it doesn't appear that it's going in the right direction. Hopefully he learns from this. He's very, very young to get this type of notoriety and these type of accolades, and hopefully he can grow from it. But he's a talented guy, and you want to see him do well with this.
Do you think he can play in the NFL?
I think so. I think the NFL has changed, and they're taking the things that people can do as opposed to what they can't do. Well, maybe he's not tall enough, maybe he's not this or that, but utilize the skills that he has. He's a leader, and he's a winner, and he can throw the football, and he makes plays. So, yeah, I think he definitely can play.
Should college football players be paid?
I don't think so. I think they do get paid in terms of scholarship, in terms of opportunity. Sure, the schools are making a ton of money, and the players aren't seeing all of that. But I've had a few kids who had to go to school on their own, and I know how much that costs and how much they pay. I've had one who's on a scholarship now, and so I know he is getting some financial benefit from playing college football. So I'm of the belief they shouldn't get paid.
We'll have you on soon. We'll talk about the upcoming season. Good to visit with you. Thank you, Tone.
Looking forward to it, Dan.
All right. Tony Dungy, Football Night in America.